Can you all imagine your future? Can you imagine being alive in that future? Can you imagine what you look like? I can imagine it now, but when I was younger, I had no idea what that future would look like. I was never really able to imagine any of it. And now, I am able to imagine that future. But yeah, when I was younger, I didn't imagine what that future would look like. And I, most importantly, didn't imagine me being a man until June 26, 2016. On that day, I was in Portugal visiting my grandparents, and after so many months of just questioning my gender and really trying to figure out what was going on, finally came to a conclusion. I realized I'm a transgender man. And then that allowed me to finally imagine that future. I imagined changing my name, changing my gender, and just cutting my hair, just anything that dealt with me being trans. And more importantly than all of that, I imagined finally being able to go to college and just live my life as I am. I imagined being myself. I imagined being Alexander Joseph Silva. And 8 years later, I am that, both legally and literally. I am Alexander Joseph Silva, and now I'm an RIT alum and a software developer in Google. In imagining that, however, I didn't imagine the resilience that I would need to get there. I didn't imagine that my family wouldn't be supportive, and I didn't imagine how that lack of support would lead to life changes. Because when I was younger, I wasn't allowed to express myself as a man. I wasn't allowed to express myself with my hair. I wasn't allowed to walk a certain way and all of that. And if I did try to express myself, then it would just lead to fights at home. And since those fights became almost daily, unfortunately, that also led to me having suicidal ideation in almost all of high school. And that was a lot of resilience needed. And luckily, I was able to see that glimmer of hope. And this was specifically because I had friends and classmates and teachers see me as myself. They saw me as Alex, and they referred to me as Alex, and they respected me as Alex. And that gave me the light at the end of the tunnel to realize that college was going to be possible. I was going to get there, and I was going to be able to be myself 100%. And here I am today. As you can probably imagine, I was able to transition after high school. If not, I would still end up looking like this. And so when I got to Rochester, I moved here, and I finally was able to express myself the way I wanted, so I shaved my head. That was the first time that I had ever shaved my head, and felt great. And after shaving my head, I finally was able to dye my hair as well. So I started the series of changing colors where I would every single semester change my hair colors. So I would have a different split dye every semester. So I went from what you see on the left here to shaving my head, and then started dyeing my hair and got split dye. And then, yeah, a month after starting at RIT, I was able to start testosterone at the Student Health Center right here on campus. And so that was me in my dorm doing my testosterone shot. And with testosterone comes a lot of different hormonal changes. So I actually, this beard, I clearly didn't have it then, but I do now. And that's kind of over time how the beard ended up coming in. Started off as like a slight mustache, and then just kind of got more and more hair, keep going, and then right here in the middle, that was 1 year on testosterone, and then this was about a couple months ago. So really cool to see all these changes happen. And it was all through people that allowed me to see that light at the end of the tunnel. And another cool change is my voice dropped. This doesn't have the entire chart because I wasn't able to find a picture of that entire chart, but the top, like, this is like all in pitches and stuff. The top half is supposed to like represent like female sounding voices. The middle, there's like androgynous kind of voices, and then the lower half is all like male sounding voices. So my voice originally started somewhere around like probably like 180, and it's dropped now actually below this chart, but that's fine. And all this happened through like support of these types of organizations. The Transgender Legal Defense and Education Fund actually helped me by setting me up with a lawyer, and so I legally was able to change my name to Alexander Joseph Silva on all of my documents. So that was really cool. And organizations like Hedrick Martin Institute are the ones who set me up with different sorts of supports and resources, and they made sure that I always had what I needed. And so I always felt supported coming into college and getting here. And on campus, there's actually a lot of support. And so I felt really comfortable being myself, being trans. There's 10 different like queer clubs on campus. Or like all these clubs just like give people support systems, and I didn't have a lot of those support systems growing up. Like, I didn't ever know a trans person when I was living in Elizabeth, New Jersey, which is a pretty big city, but I didn't know a single trans person until really like 2020, end of 2020, when I was just coming into college. So having these clubs, it really allowed me to like have that community support and be able to see other people like myself that were also going through similar life changes and just going through it. And going through it, but we were all going through it together. So that was good. And as you can probably guess, now that I'm an alumni, I no longer live in Rochester. And the future that I imagined in 2016 became a reality. I now work at Google Montreal as a software developer. And all of this wouldn't be able to happen without support. That being said, I have support now, but what about those that don't have support? Trans people around the world have become targets either through legislation or explicit violence and so much more. There's so many things happening, and it's scary because when you're trans, you can't really do things as much as other people because it all becomes a question about politics or whatever else. Like when you're trans, you can't really go to a bathroom. You have kids being killed for going to a bathroom. You have adults being killed for going to a bathroom. You have bills that don't allow you to go to the bathroom that aligns with your identity. Like, can you imagine me walking into a women's bathroom right now? Would not receive very well welcomes. Like, yeah, but if I were to go to like Florida or something, that would be what I'm supposed to be doing, which doesn't make sense. And when you're trans, you can't really wear clothing that is affirming to you and that represents who you are unless you pass in a certain way. You can't go to your high school graduation. I had to wear the wrong, or have the wrong name called at high school graduation, and et cetera. And it's just things that happen. And very importantly, you can't really exist as a trans person without your fearing your safety. Every year, more and more trans people are murdered. And it's insane seeing it as a trans person and just wondering, is this going to happen? Am I safe where I live? Am I allowed to walk around the way that I am? Can I go to the bathroom? Can I change my clothes? Can I change my hair? What is allowed? What isn't allowed? What am I safe to do? And what am I not safe to do? And it becomes very blurry. It becomes a question of life or death. And despite all of that, we live. We continue living. And we just need people outside of our community to be able to see us, to be able to respect who we are, to be able to want the future that we see for ourselves to happen. And as you all see me today, I hope that you acknowledge that. We need supportive spaces like those at RIT and those in Rochester. Next Generation Men of Transition, great group. It's a trans men of color group right here in Rochester, New York. It's been here for 4 years. Whoa, it's 2024, not 2020. Anyways, it's been here for 6 years, since 2018. The Wave Women Incorporated has also been a great group for trans women of color in Rochester. And then there's the Genesee Gender Variants. That's also a group that exists within Rochester. And all these spaces give us, again, community support, people that we can look to for support. I know that for me, anything that happens in my life, I can always go to my brothers in NGMT, and they're always going to be there for me. And there's also a saying that we have in NGMT, and it's, I choose me to survive. Something that we hold to our heart. And that's really what is the truth for all trans people. We're not choosing it to hurt other people. We're not choosing it in general. We're just choosing ourselves to be able to survive. We're choosing our happiness, our needing to survive. And we just need people to be able to see that future and want that future to become a reality for us. I don't want to see another one of my trans siblings pop up on a list of one of the 300 plus trans people murdered every year. I don't want to see my last name on that list because of my ancestry, and see countries that I call home be a part of that list. I just don't want that to be the reality for me and my trans siblings and all of our friends and family. And I hope that you realize how important it is for trans kids to be able to see a trans future. Because without that glimmer of hope, that light at the end of the tunnel, I wouldn't be here today. Trans lives matter, trans futures matter, and I hope for all of you that you continue to hold space for people like me. And for myself, I hope that I continue living in my truth. Thank you.